There we go. Awesome.
You're not missing anything.
Everyone's there.
Is Matt Stringer there?
I don't know. They're 23. Brian 613. Look, Johnny Burnett, the anime master, is there. Say hello to you.
Come on.
Woohoo! Here we go.
Hi, everybody.
It's time.
We had a seminar earlier this afternoon where you might be confronted with the dilemma of an old game that just sort of landed on you from a relative, or you found it by the side of the road. You said, that's a pinball machine by the side of the road. I got to pick that up. Or whatever way, and you're thinking, how do I decide what to do with this thing that I got for free? The possible white elephant. And one of the scenarios is you could restore it. And so we're going to pick up from that point with Todd Tuckey and the crew and decide with, maybe a little bias here because he sometimes picks up games on the side of the road himself. So, might be a little competition in that department, but he'll give you his spin on when to restore a game. Take it away, Todd.
Thank you very much, Dave. He's been introducing me for years. We got a good crowd, and we're ready to have some fun. We have about 20 minutes of video, and then we're going to be discussing, and we'll go, we have 5 to 6, but we can go an extra half hour if we have any questions and things. But I want to introduce my crew. I think we should appropriately start with the opening titles. That would be great. Well, I'll point out that Tony is not here. He couldn't come until tomorrow, but in the audience is Greg and Terry. And we have Chuck on the far left, Frank in the middle, and Scott on the right.
Good evening, everybody.
And we're ready to have some fun. I just have a 1 minute. I wanted to mention, a lot of you know, if not all of you, that my wife passed away on December 3rd, and 32 years of marriage. But she was a lot of part of TNT Amusements. She would appear in a lot of our videos. And I thought it would be appropriate to put a 45-second clip of a video we made before Christmas. She wasn't there for our original filming of the Christmas, so I kind of shot this afterwards, so you'll hear we mention Christmas in it. But we had a lot of fun with green screen and things like that. And my wife agreed to appear in the video as long as she got the upper hand. So she always had to have the upper hand. So before we start the actual show, I would like to run the video for you. We just got in. A customer has been waiting for a hot hand, and we just got this baby traded. It's actually very nice condition. And
Todd!
What's that?
Todd, where are you? Todd! Todd!
It's my beautiful wife.
You didn't put me in Christmas video.
I'm sorry, honey. Well, you weren't here.
I know, you always forget me.
I'm so sorry. I mean,
Don't look at him, Tim. He's not really sorry.
that's Steven in the background. Well, you really can't do anything about it because you're just ahead.
You're working.
Listen, I was just kidding about that. No, do you have something to tell them?
What? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year!
Then you forgot the line. Script. Do me a favor, just get out.
No.
Sweetheart.
Cut.
Yes, good memories with my wife. Thank you. For 32 years, she was a big support for TNT. Helped us out a lot, and of course I miss her very much. But
You
You realize I have to do this, because who loves to do
That's
this?
Chuck's trivia right there, yes.
Didn't Pam love to do this?
My wife did love popping bubbles, so I would bring her home some of the littler bubbles, and she liked sitting there and popping them. Oh, okay, there's another popper. So it was a cheap Christmas present. Yes, she's busy doing that. Yeah, of course. I do miss her, of course. We missed her at TNT 5 months. We're hanging in there. We're doing, and all thoughts of retirement are gone. So I'm almost 70, so a few months shy. But figure, well, what the heck? We're having fun. We're doing this. We're still making videos. Not as many as we used to. It takes a lot out of you. That green screen was a mess, and I'm using 25-year-old software. So
25,
Terry's
25
flustered.
is generous. 25 years is generous.
Generous. I tried this Adobe. I can't figure it out. I'm just using the old speed edit.
Newfangled software.
I can still make it work, but anyway.
Speaking of work,
We have a lot of stuff to cover. Today's show, as you see, is restoration scenarios. Is it really worth it? I have a question. Is there any chance to put a full screen on when the video runs? Okay, that would be nice. Then it'll be a little clearer for them too, because some of them are far out, they're smaller. And Jillian is our head coordinator. Jillian also masterminded our, I mentioned earlier, our best offer sale website, which is all secure and where we can sell parts to everyone at a pretty reasonable price. We're doing it every month now. We used to do it every 2 weeks. That took a lot out of us, but we appreciate all the support we're getting rid of. We just keep getting more stuff in. As a matter of fact, today's show, Restoration Scenarios, isn't really worth it. Yesterday, the guys went to a basement of a house that they're tearing down, and there was no power in the house, and the rickety, horrible Bilko door type, with old-fashioned wood steps, and I made a deal to buy everything in the basement. There was a haunted house, a Close Encounters, a Tomcat, all with battery damage. And, there were 2 mechanicals, I don't know the names of them, and then 3 video games, and a jukebox from a manufacturer we've never heard of, possibly only making 4 or 5 of them, running 3 Pioneer Laserdisc video players. Pioneer actually made video jukeboxes that ran on Laserdiscs. Of course, that went pretty belly up pretty quick. They couldn't get the machine out of the basement, so that's going to go down with the house. But we rescued pretty much everything else that was doable. That was a 3.5-hour drive from TNT, so they got back about 8:30 last night. A lot of traffic, a lot of accidents, but we're going to look at it. I'm going to see if we can restore any of them or whatever. We're going to see. But the first item that we want to show you, we came into getting not 1 but 2 Medieval Madnesses, the original, from one of these Pocono resorts in their back rooms, sitting for years. And these were perhaps, one of them was in atrocious shape, as you can see. And we had to make a decision what to do. So this is heavily edited from the video that we put up. So I only wanted to show you a few key points, but this may help you see and decide, what would you do? You can roll that clip now, Jillian. One, but 2 Medieval Madnesses in. I wanted you to see these. Somebody that treats their equipment this horrifically. These were from a vendor. They've been in storage for years. And I left them just the way they came in. Playfield is
I don't think I've seen a playfield this cruddy in my life. Now, we're not talking about the surface dirt. They're filthy. We're going to offer the game as is. Batteries are clean, even though they weren't changed. They're actually clean, so
on that one.
It hasn't damaged the board. Now, this game, the playfield's actually clean. And listen. I can change the volume. So the sound is running. The picture is not running because the vendor put this away in storage and he forgot to change the batteries. Have it coming close. There's acid that is dripped down here. So if you want an original machine, this machine is going to be 7,000. This machine, as it is, will be 6,500. We are planning, nobody buys one or both, we are planning on shopping them and having them on our website.
And here's some pictures that Frank took of the board before. You can see that lovely blue acid. All of you have come in with this. Can you save a board this awful? Now remember, when this film was produced 6 years ago, there were no boards. 8 years. There were no replacement boards. So Frank decided he was going to clean this board up. Nowadays, probably most of you would not when you purchase a new board. But we didn't have that option back then. And the only option, of course, was to take it out of another game, you know, making that game no good. But there's Frank's battery board, and we put it together. What did he end up doing with that, Frank? Yes, we ended up selling. Yeah, 6 or 7. We can actually still ship, believe it or not, overseas for like $600 or $700. It's hard to believe, and it's really funny because it goes to California in some cases. Well, we just shipped a Stargate Cabaret to England, and it was only going to cost him $610 to pick it up from London, the London loading dock. It was going by sea. But he elected to pay another $700 to have it going from the loading dock to his house. He paid $1,300 to ship the Cabaret. So we can see, but oddly enough, Australia, we can ship stuff pretty cheap if you want to pick it up at the depot.
Todd, what did he pay for that cabaret?
$29.99?
So almost-
$3,000. It was like new.
So almost $3,000 for a beautiful Stargate cabaret, and it was beautiful. It absolutely was. And almost half of that to ship it to his front door. Amazing.
But we were, that was where the restoration. Now, the question is, Frank, we just shipped these the way they were working. We didn't do any work, right?
Other than the board repair that we were doing.
It was 2 separate deliveries.
Function.
We had the, oh, by the way, that was on our bargain basement. We do bargain basement videos if you watch them.
Electronically sound.
Electronically sound. Of course, you know. So, obviously, that person, both of these people, thought that those games were worthy of restoration. And this is way before Chicago Gaming made their replacement game. So you'd have to look at it. I'm sure most of you out there would probably have a go of it.
Well, I mean, if you're buying the game for yourself, other than parts, you don't have to pay the cost at the time. But when you have a $7,000 game that probably really need, I mean, to get any kind of money, you have to put a playfield in it, that's $1,000.
Easy.
Plus whatever parts. Then after all of that, if you maybe can make 2,000 or 4,000, well, you gotta pay the guys, you gotta pay their pension plan, you gotta pay their health insurance, so, no, for us, it was not worth it.
Right.
But for you, it might be.
It's just as easy to sell it that way. Now, in fairness, the cabinets were beautiful because they sat in one arcade their whole life. This guy had tons of pinballs and storage, and so I guess it worked out. So in that case, we didn't want to deal with it. Now, in other cases, though, we have customers that send us games for restoration. Man's favorite game was Bally's Flash Gordon. Now, on a 1 to 10, I think Flash Gordon is a solid 5. A solid 5. Now, I thought you said you loved it. Wasn't it? Who loved it?
Jackpot's at 3.
No, 2.
Oh, sorry.
But anyway,
If you don't know, Scott has a special affinity for Jackpot.
if you watch our videos, you'll know Scott does.
It is the GOAT of the Pinball trilogy, because
It's an awful
everybody
game.
in this room
It's an
knows that.
awful
Looks like we have a bunch of smart people here.
Your mental illness is showing.
But yes, we all love certain games for certain reasons, different things. Now, this fellow that wanted this Flash Gordon restored, we went and picked it up.
No, hold on, let me tell the story, because I remember it vividly.
This is
Guy
10 years
shows
ago.
up with a Flash Gordon that he wants restored. Now, he rented a U-Haul truck.
That's right.
$1 a mile, drove 2 hours north to get it, 2 hours north to bring it back. He had to buy a whole other game. The game sat in a barn for at least 20 years. He said, oh, I got it from eBay. So we went and looked up the listing. You could see that on the picture, the coin door open and the friggin' rat's nest right inside the great cash box again. It cost him twice what it would cost.
What did he say he paid for it? $1,000?
More than $1 was too much.
Well, we brought it in and we assessed it and we said no.
He ended up buying a whole other game. We had, there was a few maybe plastic pieces we could have used on.
We
it.
transferred
The metal
some
was
things
rusty,
over.
The boards were all shot. I mean, it was covered in rust.
Well, why don't we ask our viewers to what they would have done? Can you start that clip, please? And then you tell us what you think. This is a combination of several videos we ended up making. I think the first chunk.
And they paid $800 for it.
$800. There.
$800. I want you to look at this rust and the plastics. And although they vacuumed it out, you can see the aftermath. A huge mouse nest is right here, the biggest one on record, right there. Isn't that something? Original battery there, and that's not a factory battery, but somebody put that in, but it's leaked.
Battery with the board was bad.
The
Ugly.
soundboard looks okay, and this one looks okay.
You can see the factory screws and stuff in there.
What should I tell them? And the colors, all the colors are machines. Dire, desperate shape. Now the only plus is the playfield does not have any wear at all. The original playfield, I don't know how that'll polish up, but the rainwater and or piss, whatever it was, looks like it's gotten in here and damaged this. I don't know, it's pretty sad, Frank.
Now there's a hard top down
Okay. Jason is busy making one
This is the second one.
Flash Gordon out of 2. Now, Steven's already started painting. Now, these are the 2 different machines.
This is before the hard tops.
Man originally bought. I want you to see this. Look at the speakers here. Yuck. This is what happens when animals get in your games. We're not sure what's going to happen with this transformer on the bottom either. So he's busy resurrecting this. When we're done, we're going to have a perfect machine almost. What do you think, Walt? Think we will?
I think so.
This needed so much stuff.
This is the finished
We
machine.
charged the man for 25 hours, but we must have 35 into it. And I'll tell you, never again.
And that's true. No more piss
Never
games.
take a project like this on for this kind of money because we felt sorry for the guy.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Well, Stephen, maybe I'll.
This will be the last one.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Next one, we're going to have to do it half the time.
And if I don't?
I'll have Walt to what?
Steven's still with us.
Yeah, you look
No.
Abraham Lincoln-esque.
Yeah, he did shave his beard off now. So he's clean shaven, looks a lot younger. What would you have done? Would you have tried to restore the first one? Now you can buy the hard top, so you could technically clean it up. It wouldn't matter about the wear on the top, the hard top one. I don't know, but we would not tackle anything like that. We would sell it as is. We do a lot of as is sales now. But that's an interesting scenario for a company. We felt real sorry for the guy, but it was a challenge, and we elected to do it, even though I'm going to just say we may be broken even on that after all the time and energy. And he let us keep the remaining parts, so we got a couple flipper mechs out of it, that sort of thing.
Has anyone in the room actually done a hardtop install on a pinball machine before? Juan, do you want to share a little bit about what that experience is like? I think a lot of people see online the hardtop, and my machine's going to look beautiful, but don't understand the amount of labor and time that goes into making that machine beautiful again.
Oh, here comes Mike. Actually, I think there's a hardtop Comet in the game room.
Yeah, I did one actually on a Flash Gordon from last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
both play fields.
Yep, upper and lower.
Okay.
But yeah, it takes a lot of work to prep the surface, make sure it lines right. Yeah.
But the end result, I think, is stunning. I
Yeah.
love the hardtops. And in a case of a customer who has a restoration, hardtops are about 300, 400 with shipping, somewhere around there. We average that. We tell the people, hey, look, this is going to cost you 3,200, 3,500 to bring this back to life. With the hardtop costs, some of the customers go for it. What's a Flash Gordon worth with a hardtop? Really? 4,000?
Yeah, maybe.
4,500? I mean, and you're doing retail, I guess, to the right person. Now, that was an interesting thing. Now, something you have to also consider is what to do if you take a restoration and how to protect things like the back glass. So you take the game in, a company like us, lately we've been asking people if the back glasses are nice to leave them at home because anything is possible. Now this is a heavily edited or cut down episode. We did a video on Rocky, the Rocky Pinball. And if any of you seen the movie Rocky 2, I think it was Rocky 2, it's before the Rocky Pinball came out. So they made a fake one out of, I think it was a space wide body, Star Rider, gosh, I can't remember. But we figured it out, and we put together a real fun video with some green screening too. However, Rocky back glass is not cheap to find. Why don't we run this clip here?
This Rocky has, well, the art's completely different. It also has the Rocky animators here, and the displays are up and down there. I'm not sure.
Video 13, 14, if you want to see it.
There we go. Let's set that aside where it'll be safe as you can. Now, if you look back here, the layout on the machine, you can see
Now, it didn't really break. But somebody said, oh, you should have it break. And I said, oh, maybe I'll... Was it you? Okay, he said, I guess we were watching, editing that thing. It took us 15 hours to make these stupid videos.
Well, you show that video, and the Rocky back glass did not break.
It
But
didn't.
one of your favorite employees, Mr. Jesse, broke the glass to what? The Spy Hunter? Remember that little fiasco?
Yes. It was a Spy Hunter cockpit.
Cockpit, that's right.
Yep. A Spy Hunter cockpit. And every single person out here has broken a back glass or two. I mean, it's just the way it is. And, finding an extra one is almost impossible.
You didn't have an extra one at that point. What was that, another $300, I think it was?
Well, actually, just so you know, Galloping Ghosts makes replacement cockpit glass, and they're plexiglass, and you can get the whole set, which we did for the last cockpit that's going out, and we have to get another set for the next cockpit, and because the glass is, you know, I hate these companies, these crummy companies, Midway and Williams, making these creepy games that only last 40 years. I mean, come on. It should last 100 years. You should get a warranty.
You should have never used real glass. Never.
Everybody here knows that all these machines were made for 5 years, and they were to be discarded. That was the design. And we've certainly seen the quality of these machines have outlasted everybody's wildest expectations, including the mechanicals. A lot of these mechanicals shouldn't be alive. They should be dead and buried. and a lot of them got destroyed. They were supposed to be. They were supposed to be used, operated, and then junked. And that's what happened. Now, in the case of another scenario I want to show you, we had gotten in a number of years ago, and Gottlieb the Games. Now, that was Gottlieb's brilliant idea of making an inexpensive game, one level, no speech, because the speech chips are expensive, and releasing a series of games in the same cabinet, but with different artwork. Royal Flush Deluxe, Jacks to Open, Rack 'em Up, and The Games was one. Well, there was a time in the old days, I used to buy games from a company, local vendor, Stan Harris. He was buying the games directly from Gottlieb, and he got everything, including rare prototype games. He got them all, and I ended up getting them. Things like Punk. He always had 2 or 3 Punks, he had 2 or 3 Cube Quests, and they were beat to blazing shit. I mean, they were just molested, and in the cabinets, when I used to buy them, they were $200 each. I would go there about a month before Christmas, and he'd have a row of these lined up. He called it Panatera, Spider-Man, Ice Fever, and he would wipe them down, change the rubbers, or bleach the rubbers. He was bleaching the rubbers, he wasn't changing them.
Talk about your restoration tips.
And he would have them wrapped up, and he attached the steel, the body, the head to the body. They were wrapped up without legs, and the legs were strapped on the head with steel cable. A steel, the kind you would use to pack a game with, but now we use, of course, fabric, but he used steel. Cutting into the paint, the games were horrific, but he said, 200 a piece, take all you want. So we would buy them for 200, and we'd bring them into the shop, clean them up a little bit, change some bulbs or whatever, and we were selling them for $7.99. This is a game I got back that we had sold for $7.99 probably 25 years ago. Now in this case, we painted it black. Good song.
No, it isn't.
And the play field, we puttied it, painted it with a putty knife, and we put some glare. So what do you do when you get one back? So we got this game back at 25 years later. Here's the clip, and the boys appear in this one.
We're back again.
Full screen, everyone.
What do you do when you get a game in that runs, but's just ugly?
We've all had them, all of you.
I was gonna say, that's the difference. What can we do, Todd? Well, here's what we did. We got in the games. The play field was ugly.
I love Seawolf running in the background.
And what had happened is, over the years, coming close, young lady, it had gotten painted, and then Mylar was put over it, and then some words were written in. This is from years ago, I might add, and the end result was a game that was pretty well worn. The artwork on the side was ugly. There's no artwork now.
At least it's not our old spatter paint in there.
What we came up with, here's the idea, Frank, is we said some people wanted a cheap game. They wanted it to be mechanically working ready. In other words, mechanically means the flippers get redone. The plunger links, shafts, and the string switches, cabinet switches, the electronics are all updated, including Frank's famous battery board. Frank, you know how many people hate your battery board?
And they do.
How much do you care?
The electronics will be perfect, we don't expect it.
Well, what happened is we sold this game in 2021 for $2,000.
You come on back.
Because he wanted a cheap, basic game. He got it.
Yes, he did.
Okay, he got it. They played the hell out of it, enough where they chipped it. That wasn't chipped. As a matter of fact, this light isn't out, but I wonder if the light's out, Frank. Because these are LEDs, aren't they? Nope, it's a regular light bulb.
That's right, that's a bulb.
And that,
It's a chrome bulb.
that's been chromed.
Gottlieb seen the
Must be
chrome road.
chrome too. That's 2. You think this one's chrome? Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's going down. And this, oh God, it's hot. Woo. Oh, this one's chrome. Actually, it's not. Oh, somebody put a 12 volt 194 in there. That's not as bright. It's ugly. So we're gonna talk about 4 LEDs. So we fixed that. This is an opportunity for our friends to resurrect a game, especially something simple like this without hardly any coils and things to go wrong, and resell it. I think this is
A good introductory game.
what to do. Get something out there.
Sometimes the simple ones are the ones to restore.
This actually went to a VFW post. They kept it about 5 years.
Black. You won't break black. That's a song. Painted black.
Never heard it. Could you sing a little bit of it for me, please? I see a pinball and I want to paint it black. Please don't do that ever again.
You did it. Anyway, thank you very much for putting up. This was Frank's idea. I didn't like doing this anyway. Get the hell out of here.
Can we go back to the live show?
Back to you, Todd.
That was amazing, Bob. What people at home did not see, Chuck was shaking his head here in real time along and synchronized with the video. That
I was.
amazing.
Of course, we added the music in later.
Of course we did.
So I had to copyright check it to make sure we didn't get a flag on Jillian's live cast. So, you have to, it's like every 8 seconds they nail you. And it's funny, YouTube is now going back on all my old videos and finding little bits and bobs. I had a woman laughing hysterically, and screaming and laughing. And suddenly I had 7 copyright things come up. That 4-second laugh. So YouTube allows you to edit. I cut the 4 seconds out on all the videos. The video, if anybody watches it, they'll wonder what happened. There'll be a jump. But just so I can continue to get the revenue. I make about $500 a month on YouTube. Even though we have like 2,200 videos, it's not a whole lot. But
So you're saying you had to decide whether to discard your YouTube videos or to do a little restoration?
well, no, they would make the money off of them. No, it wasn't a copyright strike. It was, they just suddenly for that 4 seconds, the creature wanted to get all my money. That one video that had the laugh in it was making 4 cents a month.
We could use that laugh right now.
Oh, it's more of a cry. Now, you've all had a game like that, or the games or something, and the game works, everything works, but it's just plain ugly, so you sell it cheaper. Maybe the person that buys it, play it, have fun with it, and then bring it back to life. When we sold that particular game to the VFW club, I think it was $1,600 or $1,700. They kept it about 5 years. We changed it over to LEDs. It came in with incandescent bulbs. We switched them over. We use the Comet LEDs because they seem to produce the best results for us. It's out on its new owner. You remember who got that? I didn't remember.
No, I can't remember.
We've sold almost 40,000 machines over 46 years. Just a huge amount of games going out the door.
Todd, I think for everybody here that watches your videos that probably have all seen Kurt before, I'm sometimes overly particular about my games. Todd tells me I'm persnickety, although,
Very.
Agree to disagree there. Kurt always says famously, when you think about these machines, you don't play the cabinet. So sometimes if you have more than one game at home, you want to try and make a decision. How's the playfield look? The playfield is really in great shape. That's what you're going to see every day, especially when it's in a lineup. And more often than not, you'll never see the cabinet. It's one of those things, if you can reconcile it emotionally, you can kind of let the cabinet go or make that a project later. But if you have a game that is sound and plays well and reliably, you're going to get just as much enjoyment from that game.
Well, I think it goes back to what Todd was just saying. For certain people, you love certain games. We all love our stupid games, the ones that people go, oh, that's terrible. You love playing it. And so when it comes to, am I going to restore a game? Because I love it to your point, if the play field is great and it's playing well, and maybe the cabinet is beat to crap, you don't care. I mean, so don't spend the time or the money that you're probably never gonna get back putting into the cabinet or into the artwork or whatever the case happens to be. If you got a good play field and it's mechanically sound, it's worth a fortune to you. And if you get your money back at the end of the day, like people with the games basically did, win-win.
Yeah, for sure. You think about in the early 90s, actually there was some prototypes in the late 80s, but when Williams brought out that diamond plate coating on the playfield, there are some playfields out there that are 30 years old, and with a little bit of cleaning, they look brand new, but that cabinet head has been smashed into 200 doors along the way and is missing big chunks, but the playfield looks brand new. So you really have an opportunity to enjoy a game, even though it may not be perfect cosmetically outside of the world of the glass.
Thankfully, we're gonna talk about Perfect Game next.
Oh,
I didn't realize we had Jackpot on the agenda.
well, this next example is a real tough one. We actually sold one that was underwater. Bally made a game, and they made 100 prototype Mystics. It has to be one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, with the original eye centerpiece. And we had gotten one in, and at the same time, we got another Mystic in that was in water up to the head. So the playfield was in the Schuylkill River of Philadelphia, up to the head. By his whole arcade, he was oddly enough, a place that my daughter ended up working at for a few months. In their game room, and all their games were underwater. And Wooder, spelled Wooder, W-U-D-E-R, just remember that. So anyway.
There's no R in that word.
So it was kind of amazing that we actually had both games in at the same time. So Frank and I decided to show what, I'm curious how many of you, what you would do in this instance. Now the man that bought the game on the left, I think, Frank, what did we try? The back glass was beautiful, the circuit boards were fine. So I think we sold it for $600.
I remember the game themselves, I don't remember what.
Well, let's run this video. We have just a 2-minute video of it, but you can see the underside and what Schuylkill River can do to it.
We're live. We're a very special
Yeah,
video.
this is one of the live
Very
videos.
special. We have two Mystics here. We have one really nice one, a completely refurbished, and a special one with the eye. Look, see the eye? The other one is without the eye, but there's
The
a
fake
problem
eye.
with the other one. Look, should we replace it? Oh God, my Mystic!
A marketplace special, right?
God. $2,000. Smell it, toxic. Yeah, look at that. Don't breathe it.
Oh.
Let me see. I can't, I don't know what's in there. Oh, they're transistors. I think they're 2030s. Probably for the lamp. Yeah, maybe.
Oddly enough, we actually got the game to fire up. It actually worked in 4 light bulbs on the playfield that worked. I didn't have footage of that though, because that was an in and out thing and we didn't have time to make a full-length video. That appeared in one of our many live videos. We're doing a lot of lives now because there's just no time to edit. Now, if you got that Mystic in and it actually fired up, what would you do? There's no playfield replacement. I don't know.
The more interesting question, just looking at that video, I forgot about that one, is if they were switched, if the working eye were in the one underwater, does that change your answer? That's a great question.
Well, there's only 100 of them.
That's right.
What I would probably do is switch the heads.
Well, I know you would.
Of course, the serial numbers won't match. Now remember, the heads on both games were fine.
Right.
I don't
It's a tough call because, I mean, for a purist, for somebody who says, hey, look, this is a prototype, there were only 100 of them, you know, maybe you're gonna go all out to save it. Whereas if it were something else, maybe not, but I don't know. I mean, I remember the game coming in and it was, that video doesn't do it justice, it was so bad.
Well, we have we do have a video of the one that we restored. I'm very proud of the video. It's here all the time. We also provided the Internet Pinball database, Jay. If you send him pictures, you're not allowed to send him pictures with LEDs. He gets all upset. He wants some originals, so we actually converted the top part of it back so we could show details and photographs of the elaborate system that Bally did. It's actually not elaborate, but it was just so nice, and I think it added $100 to the production cost maybe.
So they
chopped it. It makes the game.
It really
makes
does.
the game.
Todd, do you want to tell people your other claim to fame when it comes to the Internet Pinball database?
Oh, I can. If you go on the Internet Pinball database,
Data.
I call it data.
Data, like Wooter.
Jillian, what's the proper name? Data or data? Both. Data. Wrong.
You know, that was a really good answer, Jilly.
W-U-D-E-R.
Wooter.
There we go.
W-O-O-D-E-R. Wooter.
I can't. I'm too old and fat to change. I can't change.
You're not that old. So speaking of which, what's your claim to fame?
If you see any weights
Good thing I'm here.
on the database, that's us. And we have a professional scale, and before we ship the games, we wrap them, put the legs on them, and we put it on the scale to get a weight of just the machine without the pallet. And you'd be surprised that some of these games are a lot lighter than you'd think. Of course, the heaviest games ever is the Jersey Jacks. They are almost 400 pounds without a pallet.
They're rated at what, 1.75 ton.
Which one? No, Monte Carlo was well under 300. Gottliebs were never heavy. The lightest Gottliebs, of course.
No, we actually have a Monte Carlo owner in the room.
We do, where?
Raise your hand in the back there.
Monte Carlo? Ah!
And he said it works. I asked him earlier.
Well, we actually have, now we have two in the shop, because one's coming back, they're moving, so we're buying back a Monte Carlo. We sold, I think, 20 years ago. So we're getting back another Monte. We've sold so many of them, my God.
Doesn't one of them have a header?
I don't know if the one we're getting back has a
Yes,
header.
there was one that had a header.
Yeah, the headers disappeared. The vendors took them off and threw them out, threw them in their back shop. That's what happened to a lot of the headers of that coal wings. Some of them fell apart pretty easily. The database, Jay said no one's ever offered to put it, but he won't give me any credit for it. He says, I can't give you credit for that. I said, okay, not a problem. So, but if you see it and it says actual measured weight, that's me. I have not, he has not responded to any of the most recent posts though I sent, so I'm not sure. He's not getting any. Pardon? Okay, yeah, I've sent him a whole bunch of weights, so what I did is I counter measured and posted them on the inside. So I figured, well, some people it'll help because you need to know the weight. You're gonna tell Precision Moving and Storage to pick your game up. You have to have the weight of the machine. Now, sometimes they just classify them as 250 pounds, 275 or something. But you'd be surprised, some of these games are only 220 pounds. And it's surprising with the legs, too. But now, we've reached a point in our show where I'm going to show you something that my next door neighbor, Pete, did for me 15 years ago. He's exceptionally good with his hands. He works wood wonders and things. And he said, Todd, do you have any back glasses you don't want anymore? And I said, yeah, I got some. He says, yeah, I want to experiment with it. And I gave him two, a Wildfire and a Black Knight. Now, all of you who've had a Black Knight have had crappy back glasses. And once again, a phone call to Williams to straighten this out won't help. No. But anyway, what do you do in the back glass if you just can't put it out on the curb? You don't know what to do or anything. So, Pete took these two glasses, and I'm going to guess he spent $20 each. And he made these, and these have been in my house, in my projection room in the house for 15 years. I never did anything with them. I was down there trying to find a cartoon, and I said, oh gosh, I forgot about these back glasses. So we made a video showing you what we're going to do. We also brought the back glasses with us. I have a longer video that'll be on YouTube. I wanted to premiere what we did and what you can do for about $20 a back glass. Here we go.
Oh, it's my chance again. I love being on screen in front of all of you people. Don't I, Kurt?
You do.
Is that for me? Working on a game. Speaking of working on a game, Frank,
And
look
Secret
at
Service.
this Stars back. This Stars, a popular, what'd you say, Steve Kirk did.
It's a Steve Kerr classic.
It is.
It's classic, like, it's like shit.
Well, wait a minute, turn it back. Let me see.
I think it can be saved.
Yeah, but turn it around, let's look at the back. Okay, now come in close. Shell spelling. This doesn't look too bad.
Wait a minute,
You can get one of my,
let's compare. What do you think? Which looks worse?
Frank.
no, you can get one of my competitors, they'll think that glass is great.
The back glass is
It'll
okay,
buff out.
but you can see that it's got a lot of wear. You definitely wouldn't want to trash this, but what do we do other than repainting the
Okay.
glass?
Well, let's look here. Let's
Which
start.
won't look good behind
What is the
glass.
story behind what I'm showing you today? Because this is, I think, revolutionary.
Okay, let's not get carried away.
I think it's revolutionary.
You do it.
Now, my neighbor, 15 years ago, came to me, we were at the new house, what I call it the new house, but we moved. And he said, Todd, he was a big handyman, likes to build stuff himself and everything. You know any back glasses you'd like to get rid of? And I said, well, I probably do, Pete. He says, I want to experiment with it and see what you can do. So I gave him two back glasses, a Black Knight and a Wildfire. You went called him I got it.
Don't do that ever.
Anyway, he took that back glass, there it is, and he built a 2x2 frame. Look, he went all out. Look, he's got the corners. He has the hanger. I took the hanger off.
You didn't paint the whole thing.
But he didn't paint it, and it's still flaking. The glass is still flaking. Now, what do you do? Can you hold that at the same time while I walk up? This is difficult. I get up and I walk. Oh, it's over here. He went to Home Depot and he purchased a sheet of poly shield sheathing underlay. It's very thin. He cut it out and he put just the silver side, not the poly side, in frame it. He stuck it in. And then
Yeah.
there's the end results. So in the windows it's silver, and look, the silver blends in with the red and blue.
Do you think that would work with my stars?
God, it looked great. Now, of course, you can't light it from behind, but if you hang this on the wall, it's going to look pretty good. What do you think, Frank? So, let's see. Uh-oh. Can't get it out. I can't get it up. I can't get it out. There. So,
Let's see the before. There we are. Let's see the after.
of course, it's not going to go in your game. It's going to go in your game room. Not bad.
So it's nice and shiny, and all those particles that were black, see all the missing paint, is now beautifully covered.
And this, it actually works with the stars motif. There's the ball. There's the end. Look at that.
Now, I don't know what else to say, Frank. What should I say at this point?
You said everything.
How great I am?
I have a better idea. How about you say, we're gonna go back to the live discussion?
Well, you see, here's the last thing.
Back to you,
Wait,
Todd.
let me slide this out. So, I brought both glasses here to the show. See, I'm no idiot. So, Frank, do you think somebody may want to buy these from me now? I spent hours, or my neighbor did.
I'll be able to buy
My neighbor
dinner.
did all this work.
They
Or
were
we
free
could just
tonight.
hang them up at TNT. Did you learn something? Say yes.
Yes.
So we have them both here, so you can come up afterwards. Somebody said, what do you think the bracelet? I said, well, you know, I'll just make them $100. If somebody doesn't want to do the effort, they can hang it because it's got the hangers on it. I think they look pretty good. So at the end of the show, if you want to come up and look, we'll also hold up the wildfire since we never showed that. Went and called him wildfire.
Chuck, it's in the slide.
Well, that's too bad. Tough.
Okay, fair enough.
Tough.
Oh.
There we go. Now, I expect all of you, or some of you out there, could try this. So, very easy, 2x2s, put them together. Buy a sheet of that. You probably have to buy a 4x8 sheet of that silver crap. But you may be able to get rid of some of your glasses at the next show. Because it makes instant, nice wall decoration. And you could put a light on the front of it, or shine a light on the front. That would highlight the silver. Do you think that's a good idea, guys? All of you watching? I think I put them all to sleep.
No.
The idea of backlight was an LED lights on the back.
I thought about that.
All around, the back of the wall as it's on.
Well, you know what's interesting, sometimes if you put the backlight on there, it's really going to exaggerate the flaking. But if you are able to be a little bit creative, you look at a picture, like something on the outside that would shine up against the glass the other way, creates a little bit more excitement around it, and it's not going to have as much emphasis on the flake portions.
That's right.
The thing I was thinking was, and we didn't get a chance to try it, if you put strip lighting around the inside of the frame on top of the glass, now it's in the front, I wonder what that would look like. Anyway, just a thought.
Coming
nobody
soon,
buys
we're
it.
gonna try that.
Try it on the way home when I'm hauling the thing back to Philadelphia.
Are any of you gonna try it? Somebody has to say yes. They're just staring at me.
They're all nodding their heads yes.
They're nodding, but
They're all nodding their heads yes and saying, we have 6 minutes left.
well, we don't have to stop at 6. We can continue on afterwards. But we only have one more clip that Scott filmed. Well, I filmed Scott, actually, to be honest with you. But Scott has something to do. He decided to make his about what to do with a modern game. In this case, Walking Dead.
Walking Dead Premium.
What do you do when you have a Walking Dead, or Uncanny X-Men, or Infinity Quest? Do you think
Any
you
game, Concrete, Belly, Deadpool,
Wait a minute.
it's all any game.
You just reminded me. Conclave.
No,
Please.
no.
Go ahead, Jillian.
No.
Let's do a conclave. Let's do a conclave.
Let's have a conclave. I wanna have a conclave. Lock the doors tight. Let's have a conclave. Sister Act, don't forget your habit. Let's have a conclave. I wanna have a conclave. Lie and vote. Let's have a conclave. We're gonna deceive and vote and lie and vote for fake. A conclave is a meeting for finding a new pope. Smear campaigns and men who are vain and votes in envelopes. And though we walk the turtle and share a password or two, like that sick, heaven forbid, we're sequestering for you. Conclave, let go. Chuchi, roll, roll. Conclave, let go. Chuchi, roll, roll.
with your game, watch that video, and you throw it out the front door. That's what you're gonna want to do with it.
Well,
Makes me want to.
I run that a lot now when we do the live. And I've had people email me and says, it's in my head, I can't get it out of my head. The music, of course, is out there. Tammy wrote the lyrics and stuff and filmed it on our stage in our basement.
Why do you have a stage in your basement?
Well, because the girls used to act.
Because the law frowns upon having a pit.
Do you know my number, my second most watched video is a single, and Terry's in it too, a single performance of Finding Dory presented on my stage with me not only working the spotlight, but filming at the same time.
All part of your
And
greatness.
it's my second most viewed video on my channel. Oddly enough, other stuff, my film strip projector and how it works is in my top 10 videos. So I'm going to do one on the opaque projectors, Joe.
You might show these things in correctional facilities or something. I have no idea how you're getting these.
A lot of guys are bobbing.
Let's have a conclave.
True. True.
Oh, thousands of viewings. I was on 7 days a week from 12 midnight to 1 a.m. on all the area channels. I spent $100,000 a year running the show.
Boy, that was money well spent.
We got a lot of new people. That's before the internet. You know. I had to supply the show on super VHS tapes. How about that?
Remember that crazy connector? It had to be oriented the correct way, like the old micro USB cable was terrible. Trying to plug it.
Were you on one of the UHF channels?
Yes, they were all above 14.
I thought so.
All above 14. But
Channel
anyway,
83.
it's interesting what people watch. You know, my TikTok channel is getting tons of views. Now I realize there's swipe and I have to film vertically, but there's no editing. You can have up to 10 minutes, and I get tons and tons and tons of views.
So Todd, now that the audience is approaching dead, can we get back to the
Yes,
Walking
Scott
Dead?
Parisi. Now that we did our conclave, let's have a conclave. But anyway,
already did.
Scott, would you like to introduce your video?
Sure, okay. We have a clip we filmed. It's probably about 200 seconds long. But we were talking about the value in restoration or whether it's worth it. I wanted to expand that a little bit, like Todd mentioned, into more modern games and modifications. There was a period of time where people thought pinball was, that people thought that pinball was going to be a great investment. You buy a machine, and 6 months later you're going to flip it for double, which obviously is not the case. There was a period, and there are certain titles that increase in value, but generally speaking, pinball needs to be treated as a hobby. It's not an investment, or best case, it would be a get rich extremely slow. That way, but it's something you have fun, and these games are filled with electronics, and you have a metal ball being at 80 miles an hour with a piece of plastic. It's something that will change its appearance and require maintenance over time. But people like to modify their game, which is great.
All of you
Anyone here
have.
modify any of their pinball machines at home, new or old?
I'm sure every
Nobody,
hand is
one
going to
person,
go up.
three people. Okay, there we go.
Oh, everybody.
But so it's fun to modify a pinball machine, but also you can end up spending thousands of dollars on things like toppers or subwoofers and shaker motors and other things, and they're all really fun and they're really great. And they add to the game, and in some cases deepens your immersion into the game. But it's one of those things that you have to do it for fun and do it for yourself. If you're buying a game, and well, I'm going to repeat everything in the video in a minute, and you plan to just keep it for a little while, you're really just throwing money away. If you put in a shaker motor or an older game, you maybe put some LED lighting in there, you're going to spend a lot of your time and money to modify or tweak the machine, but it's not something you're going to get back. There are things, and we'll cover it as well, and I might as well just skip the video at this point, but like a color DMD, if you put in one of those machines from the 90s into the early 2000s, what happens?
Why don't we run the video and then we'll continue? Go ahead. It's our last clip.
Scotty, what are you doing there?
Well, I couldn't be in the main part of the video because I was late, so now this is my punishment.
That is.
I have to talk about whether things are worth it when it comes to modifications on pinball machines. I don't get that.
What's the deal with this game? This has been over-modded, right?
Yes, this is a Walking Dead premium. Really nice machine. This is the mid-tier game, and it's fun to modify pinball machines, by the way. But when you think about, again, what you're going to do and whether it's worth it, you have to look at some of the costs. Todd, while you're showing the play field, I'll jump right into it. You look here, you have these survivors inside on the top of that house. That's a decal. That's not something that came from the factory that way. So that's something somebody probably spent a little bit of money on to just customize and personalize the machine, which is great. There's nothing wrong with personalizing a machine, but it's one of those things you have to reconcile. If you're going to get rid of it later down the road, you want to trade or sell, you're probably not going to get your money back. Here's another modification on this game. You have the shooter rod there. While it's really neat and it makes your machine unique, it's not something where you're going to get your money back later. And the important thing here, when you think about modifications, pinball is a hobby. Right? If this is your get-rich-slow scheme, it's not going to pay off for you. You have to look at this as something that's fun and entertaining for your friends and family. And it's not something where you're going to make money in the long term. There have been some exceptions, but it really is the exception, not the rule. Now we have this topper up there. Really fun, really neat. It looks just like the shooter rod. It's scary. It has the RGB LED lighting on there. But again, that's something you're going to spend $800 to $1,000 to put on there, and it really sets your machine apart and it makes it pop. But it's not money you're going to get back later when you decide to trade.
Wouldn't the best mod be the color display?
I think adding a color DMD to a machine really makes it pop, and it also makes it feel a little bit more modern. This machine came out, I'm going to say, roughly around 2014,
right?
Early in the factory LED GI era. But you look at that red display, it's neat, and maybe it makes you think a little bit about blood and the theme. But if you get a color display in there, that's really going to pop and bring your game to life and give it that feel, look and feel like you'd see on television.
So, summing it up, is it worth putting extra mods on the game if you're thinking of blowing it out quickly?
I think if you're not going to keep it for a long time, it's an absolute waste of money. It's all personal preference, but if you're going to keep the machine for a long time, and this is going to be in your collection for years to come, have at it, modify it, make it yours, personalize it, make it unique. But if you plan just to play it for a couple months and flip and play the market, it's not worth it. It's money you're just not going to get back.
Well, I thank you very much. See, I did let him have a segment.
Thanks, everybody.
I did.
Wasn't here to see that.
Oh, you'd be mad.
Can I just
We'll get our money back, don't worry about it.
can I just commend Scott not only on a fine commentary, but you looked very monochromatic in that video.
I was wearing black shoes as well. They didn't show. Yeah, well, yes.
And he had a collared shirt on.
Yes, I was dressed for teams in Zoom, like I guess. But you know, another great example. And Todd talked about Mystic earlier, just to get into modifications. And here's a modification scenario with an older machine. Anyone here not a fan of the great pinball machine Taxi from the late '80s? So, yes.
Not a fan?
Yeah, I'm saying is there anyone here that's not a fan?
Not a fan.
So, of course. And by the way, just so you know, with a little history here, any game that I like, Todd dislikes. And if you look at this, I'm on a sidetrack here, the Todd Tucky Top 6, TNA, Pinball, Theater of Magic, Big Bang Bar, Class of 1812, and Funhouse. So those are the Todd Tucky Top 6.
My top
I guarantee
six.
if I told you I liked any of those games, he would find a
Try me out.
Theater of Magic.
What a piece of shit.
Yes, exactly. So that's unrehearsed, but unfortunately, it's something that
I can say something good about Tax.
What?
It's better than Jackpot.
But
That class of 1812 is so great.
But anyway, back to
We digress.
I have a clear-coated one. Yeah. I found out there's certain games of Gottlieb's, the transformer on the bottom is completely unique. And I think there's 6 Gottlieb System 3s that use a completely special, unique transformer. Vegas is one of them. We sold a Vegas to a customer. We did not have the fuse cover cardboard on the bottom. A screw fell off the playfield and happened to drop across the fuse block. and smoked the transformer. So to keep the customer from having literally a stroke, I took my transformer out of my class of 1812, and I've been hunting for one since. Because you have to find one from a junk game. And we had a hoops, but that was so underwater. We have a video with some worst condition pinballs that literally fell apart in your hands from the water. And the transformer was beyond hope, so I couldn't mess with it.
But anyway, just put a fun.
Yes. The guy told me he had a Lord of the Rings, and we got out there, and it was a Road Kings that fell apart in our hands. Literally. We have a video up, it's amazing. The machines literally broke apart. Now, odd enough, I sold the back glass of the Batman Forever to Peter Monroe, where all the paint fell off the glass except the outline of Batman, the word Batman, and it looks beautiful.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's like a silhouette. But I remember the guy arguing, oh, there's nothing, this is in great shape, look, you got the back glass. And then I said, yeah, but the paint's literally about to come off in sheets. And that was horrific. We have a live video up, so.
I wish we had a clip of that 8-volt deluxe back glass from last year. It was for those translucent, you remember that?
Yes.
But anyway, just put a bow on the taxi, because I'm sure everybody is hungry here. Todd mentioned earlier the Mystic and possibly changing the heads and the serial numbers not matching. I don't think people look at pinball machines like cars where you look for a numbers matching old muscle car, for example. There are a lot of people out there that believe the Maryland version of the taxi has greater value than Lola. But if you really look at the marketplace, people are paying based on condition. But a lot of people like to have the Maryland version, and you can get a hardtop or a CPR playfield and a reproduction back glass to convert your game from Lola to Maryland. And it's one of those things that's going to cost you probably about $1,000, maybe more, which is the majority of the value in a taxi. But some people really enjoy having that Maryland and that look back of something that looks very close to Maryland Monroe. It's one of those things when you modify a game, do what feels good for you, but do it because it's something you're going to enjoy and not something you think is going to pay off or bring you extra money in trade or cash traded down the road. They're fun, they're awesome, my machines are modified, but you have to do it with an understanding that you're probably not going to get your money back.
And the interesting thing about the Maryland, the Internet Pinball Database says there's like 200 of them or something. That can't be right, because we have come across so many Marylands. I think it's more like, I think they said that because they had to pay fees to Maryland Monroe's estate. They said they only sold 200 of them. I think they sold 2,000 of them. There seems to be more Marylands than Lolas. But anyway, that's an argument that we'll never get a true answer for. We have one last thing to share, and it's the end titles, but this is one of my wife's final appearances in our end credits, where I smoked a cigarette and such, and she agreed to film several of these. It was difficult, wasn't it, Frank? Frank was there. We spent the whole afternoon filming alternate endings, and some of them didn't work because they were out of focus, but this one did. This is our end credits. Now, after the show's over, we'd be happy to answer questions, because I know some of you want to take off, but I wanted everybody sitting to at least see the end credit with Pam. And then, of course, and as soon as the end credits are over, we can stay for a little bit longer, until maybe up to 5:30, if anybody. Little bit. Jillian tells me just
We started.
because everybody's hungry. But let me run the end credits. Here we go.
Good night.
Are you still here?
Somebody just commented they liked their end credits. I had to edit the end music so I could get by the copyrights.
That isn't your home, right?
That's my house. That's actually how my foyer looks when you come in the front door. So it was an easy setup. I have a motion lamp there. I have a different one now. And then the chair chair still there. That chair I'm sitting on was my mother's first piece of furniture she bought when she moved out into her own house. We kept it all these years. But that is our show. We'll be happy to answer questions too. If any of you have anything, because I know some of you are hungry and want to get out, so you're here for the next show's at 7, right? What's the show at 7?
Mark Elm's showing finally finished.
7:30? Oh, it's 6:30.
Todd, you better hurry.
Did anybody have any questions? Anybody? We have a
How
microphone.
about a comment, a personal experience on any of these categories?
Anything, maybe your experience with trying to decide whether to restore it or whether or not, it's sort of like restoring an old car. You try to restore an old car, you'll spend a lot of your hours on it, you'll never get your money back.
I tell people that all the time. Collecting pinball machines is like collecting old cars. Everybody sees them and they love the colors and the lights and it's all shiny. Everybody has a story about the first time they saw one or first time they played one, and there's always something on the damn thing that doesn't work exactly right. Every single time.
You do it for yourself, don't do it for
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, if there are no questions, nobody